It's always an honor.
That was just the first one. Oh, you're not running away from a second. I have to apologize to Lucas from Brazil. I'm so sorry. We are 20 minutes late into your session. I hope it's okay for you to continue now. To give a talk. So Lucas, desculpe, his presentation was super important, so he just kept on going. I hope you enjoyed listening to what he had to say.
That's okay, Marcelo, and the people here. There is no problem. So, okay.
So, WEF Global Shaper from Brazil. So you're kindly accepted to talk on this forum, which focuses on teenagers becoming wiser. And one of the main reasons why we really like to invite the Global Shapers is because of the generational issues, right? So if you're a 15-year-old and you have self-doubts, you're trying to figure out what are you going to do when you're growing up, and you have a 75-year-old person saying, "No, I think you should be doing A, B, or C," is very hard to relate. So we always try to have this mix of shapers who are between 20 and 30, and that kind of gets the conversation closer to the heart of the teenagers, but also to give an opportunity to younger members of the WEF network, but not only. I mean, we had the Forbes 30 under 30 speakers in the past. And in many cases, you guys don't get many opportunities to speak in events like this, right? For instance, this morning we had a 21-year-old global shaper originally from Libya, now living in the UK, working for the UN, and she was thanking us for the opportunity, right? And we are thanking her for sharing her wisdom. And I'm from Brazil, as you know, and I do believe the Brazilians, just using that as an example, there are many other countries, you get even fewer opportunities than people based in London who are in the 20s to speak in this kind of events. So I'm always trying to promote this kind of dialogue, and I'm very happy that you accepted our invitation. So I'll give you the floor so that you can share your wisdom with us. This is being recorded. It will be posted on YouTube later. So you're talking to a global teenager audience that will benefit from your experience. You may want to focus on Brazil, Latin America, go global. No, the decision is yours. Please go ahead. And I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you for the invite here to talk to the people around the road. And I'd like just to share the story of my life and what changed about me during this time. So first, I am a young guy here in Belo Horizonte. It's a city here in Brazil, and I am 27 years old. And today I work as an innovation consultant here in Brazil and startup accelerator. So I help people to develop their business here in the country and the city. And during this time, since my 17 years old, I passed through a lot of experiences that changed my life forever. So I start when I was 17 years old, little boy. I was living there in a small city here in the same country, and I decided with my parents to move away, to go to a bigger city and to get a better scholarship. So I moved here to Belo Horizonte in 2010. I was just a little afraid because I wouldn't live with my parents. I would live with another family. So I was in my last year during the high school, and then I decided to study civil engineering after in the university. So in 2011, I was accepted in a university here in Minas Gerais, but it was in another city, in a city near in the south of Minas Gerais. It was so far from my hometown, and I would take more than 24 hours to get with my parents again. So I was a little afraid to move to this little city because I wouldn't have anybody there nearby to get help if I wanted. And it was a very disconnected place from my original life. So during this time, when I decided to move to this university, I had a journey that was predefined, I can say, by my parents and the people around me. This journey was, I should finish the high school. After the high school, I should be an engineer. So an engineer, then I would study 5 years in the university. And after these 5 years, I will get a job. This job as an engineer, actually. And then I would get this job. My journey in this job would be as an average engineer, and I would get a wife. And after that, I've got children, maybe 2 or 3 children. I should live in a big city and be recognized by my family as a successful man, a successful professional. That's okay. That's so comfortable at all because it was okay for me to get in an university here in Belo Horizonte. I had the support from my family if I choose this path. So I accepted in the beginning. And then I got to this, I was accepted in this first university in civil engineering. And I lived 1 semester in Itajubá. During that, I began to realize that I didn't make the choice that was from me. And then I was accepted in another university. It was again in Belo Horizonte. So I moved back to Belo Horizonte because it was more comfortable for me to live near my parents to live in a city that I already know. So I moved back in July 2011. From there, I studied 1 year. After this 1 year, studying in this university, Federal University, one of the best university in Latin America, even in civil engineering, and it's recognized with that. I met a non-government project. It's called Engenheiros da Alegria. It was the first time that I accept to work as a volunteer. So nobody told me to do that. My family even told me to look for projects like that, to be a volunteer. They just said, go to the university, finish study, and get a job. So I just saw this opportunity to get away from this journey, this path, and I said, okay, let's see what's happening there. During this volunteer day that I worked there with the Engenheiros da Alegria, it was a group of young people that wanted to change the world. They had a dream, and they still have a dream, and they wanted the people around them, the communities, to have a dream with them and realize and make this dream reality. So I said, okay, let's go and see there what's happening. And during this day, it was a Saturday. I spent my morning and afternoon Saturday during this volunteer program. And then I met more than 100 people there. They were just walking during this volunteer program from receiving nothing back, receiving even any pain, any money back from this work. But we had a dream. We dreamt with the people, this community from the place that we were working. It was a kindergarten here near my place that I live at. And then I said, okay, and I began to realize that the journey that was predefined by me didn't make me happy. What made me happy was this this little point in my journey that I accepted to do that. This volunteer program. And after that, it was in 2012, I just came back to the university, and then I studied a lot there to get the best grades. And after that, in 2014, I had the chance to move away from the country. My parents didn't accept, didn't want me to get away. I wanted to move to Germany during 1 year to study there. And my parents even didn't go out from the country anytime. So for them, it was not a big opportunity, but it was, how can I say that, but a big change in our lives. Even it was not just a big change in my life, it was a big change in their lives, because they wanted me near them. They wanted me in a place that they were comfortable and I am comfortable. So the decision to move to another country, even a country with the language that I should be able to speak German. Who speaks German here in Brazil? So it was very uncomfortable for my parents. So I just choose, okay, I want to go there because it's not what you want. I made this, I made this decision because it's what I want to do. So I went to Germany during 1 year. So I studied there and I met a lot of people. I know a lot of countries, different countries, not the German country, even some European countries that I visited there. So during this 1 year of exchange, I realized that there is a lot of things out of my life that I wouldn't know if I didn't get out of the comfort zone that I was there in Belo Horizonte. So during this time, during this 1 year, I started to ask myself who I am and asking myself what the decisions that I make would make me happy and which of them would be the best decisions for me based on my own how can I say, one thinking about these decisions. So then after that, when I came back to Brazil, I started to get out of my comfort zone. So starting that, I looked at again to this Engenheiros da Alegria program, and then I started to get in touch with the people in the projects that they were doing there. And then I began to realize that I had a lot of view. I had a lot of things that I wanted to do that wasn't during in this journey that was predefined by my parents, predefined by the people around me. So I began to choose to make my own decisions. And after that, I met not just this project. I met the TED project that I worked during 2 days in a community here in Belo Horizonte that they have a lot of problems about the scarcity and the problems in habitational conditions. So even there, I started to think about the color of my skin. I started to ask myself, as a black person here, what should I do? What should I think about? Because I didn't see me as a black person here in my community, but I had the consequences to be the black person here. So after that, I started to search about the programs, even outside of these topics. Even in the university, I had the opportunity to meet and to know another communities here, even in my state. So I choose the path to know about the communities from uh, the people that were enslaved. We call here how can I say that? We have a name for these communities. So I went there and I started to see the realities that I didn't see here in Belo Horizonte. So I started to put myself in uncomfortable conditions that I couldn't see here. Even so, because of that, I started to make decisions by my own and to make decisions that would make me happier and even guide me to the professional path that could lead me even here to the this path for innovation here that I work today. So even after that, in 2019, I became a global shaper. So I am now a member of the Global Shaper community. It's a community for young leaders from around the world that they make and develop projects to make social impact on the local that they work. So in the last year, we started and we executed a project to work with the transgender people. So we wanted and we acted to resolve the problems about the employment issues that this community had here in the city. So even after that, even after this 1 year of this project, I even worked with this project, not just so when I act what I learned about it with this project, I used they even in my job. So I make some acts, I play some how can I say some paper here even in the company that I work for the diversity and inclusion. So even my bosses they accept and they support me even because of what I did, not just with the path that was predefined at me, but the path that I chose by me and the path that I choose to be myself. So that's some of my story, of my life, and the message that I want to hear, to present you, and to give you, the young people, the young that are under 17, is to be yourself, is to know yourself, to know what you want, and make you the choices that you want for yourself because the better person to know that what's the best path for you, it's yourself. So make your own decisions and ask yourself and go out of the comfort zone. And that's the 17 minutes. That's what I had to say to people. And if you have any questions, I am here to answer you.
That's great, Lucas. Thanks for the different perspective. Because many of the speakers they tend to be from the northern hemisphere, and it's always good to have participants from countries that have slightly different cultures and experiences. And I think that one point worth adding is that when you're growing up in a society that has a very strong culture, like the Brazilian one, you have to follow certain guidelines. You can't fight society, otherwise you just fail exhausted. You have to adapt, but knowing that there are perhaps in other countries better ways of doing certain things. You talked about the whole German experience, and it was funny I mentioned that because I actually learned to speak German before I learned English. And in Brazil, this is close to impossible. I mean, both of your parents must be German descendants for that to happen. But so I ended up in Vienna. I studied German, and my English was not very good at that point in time. So, what just to have the question related to that? What is your recommendation in terms of course, being yourself, knowing who you are, respecting your culture, but keeping your mind open to other cultures and different ways of doing certain things, and how can you integrate that into your life? As in, if you met someone from Australia or New Zealand and they're saying, this is how we do things in my country, do you have any way of summarizing your personal approach to learning from other cultures and adapting those lessons to your own reality? As a teenager, of course, in this case.
Yeah, sure. I think that when we are a teenager, we have a lot of questions. So we want to make these questions, but to learn first, we must learn how to listen. So that's what I learned the first time that I was a volunteer. I listened to the community. I listened what they wanted and what I could give them. So that's the first lesson that I should do and should give to the people that are listening to us. You must learn how to listen, and it's an active listen. Listen what the people have to say, what are their dreams, what they want, and after that we could see what we can do and what the world is. So after listening to the different countries, we could see how and where we can fit. Maybe I couldn't fit in the country of the small city that I grew up, but I saw that I could fit and I fit in the country here in Belo Horizonte. But I learned that when I started to listen to the people here.
Oh, that's great. So, thanks so much for joining. We're very kind of you for your time, and I realized that you joined us a while back. So I hope you enjoy the sessions, and you're welcome